Hurdle 6. Being overconfident. Sometimes we need to stay on the right side of confidence. In building our mindsets, we must try not to become overconfident, as this might lead to us neglecting to do the basics in framing a conversation. It might prevent us from hearing the concerns of others or considering internal forces within our organisations. We need to keep in mind that it's not just enough to feel confident. We must do our homework to deliver on our goals. So whether that is a work project, a presentation, or entering a conversation with confidence. For a practical illustration of this hurdle, let's now listen to Nationwide Building Society's Andrew Hinstridge reflect on confidence.
I've told a story of privilege coming from a position where I started life with confidence that actually probably got to a level that was unhealthy in my 20s, that I thought I was invincible. With age came a degree of reflection, a sort of moderation that we all experience where you start to become a little bit more uncertain. But it all comes to a head one evening in August last year, where I went from, I'd sat working in the afternoon, thinking that it was all getting ahead of the game and being nice and organised so that I would start the week on a positive note, and spent that night wondering about where my bank statements were and whether my wife would be able to find them in an organised way. And that reset progressed. The next evening I lay awake, completely with absolutely no basis in fact, spent the evening, the second night in hospital, worrying about whether I would ever be able to go back to work as a consequence of this, because not being able to cope in a high stress environment is basically completely incompatible with my role. And then, after a week, this is my first experience with healthcare. I've had the occasional, was born, had the occasional broken bone as a child, and then in my 40s ended up in hospital and not far off in life support. And week 2, when it didn't start, my legs didn't start to heal, I started wondering, will I ever actually be able to walk again? And happily, that happened fairly quickly. I didn't need to dwell on that. But each step in that journey, confidence that I'd built over years by professional knowledge and experience that meant that I was basically confident in any environment, got reduced to nil. And I just had to remember that I could do things and that I shouldn't be. Things had changed, but actually by recognizing what had changed and what I could do to positively impact the difficulties that were going to be in my way has helped me rebuild that.